Like if I show you a book that's only 25% done, in a sense it's nothing. I'm showing you nothing because it's not done, right? So one of the reasons why we don't do compounding is because like I can't show you till it's done, but but if it's really worth doing, it probably takes 10 years to do. So for 10 years, I look like I'm doing nothing. And in fact, I'm embarrassed and I don't like going to events because people ask me, what am I doing with my life? And I'm like, this. But when I was like, oh, well, I'm priority. These are my priorities. This is what I'm doing.
My goals.
Priorities can be fig leaves in the garden. I'm naked. Who told you were naked? The other. So let me put on my priority fig leaf and hide. And it's a kind of armor. We are very often putting on armors to defend ourselves to avoid the other, when themos, the real recognition, the really kind of courageous rising to the challenge, requires being lightly armored, or not armored any more than necessary. Like a truly great warrior doesn't go on the battlefield completely clothed in armor, right? They're lightly armored. And a truly skilled warrior doesn't need armor to make up for their skill, right? Well, there's a way in which there are many meta armors. If I throw meta in front of a word and hope it works, you can always do that. Just put meta in front of it. Meta food, meta phones, meta computer, meta salad spinner. There are many things that are armors that we may not realize are armors. Like, priority, we can use as an armor. We can use talking about transparency or communication. All of these can be used as various forms of armor that are very, very bad.
The having to be in that liminal place of, I can't really explain it.
Or we talk about avoiding reductionism. Like, if you can never do something that can never be explained, then you are probably reduced to the logic of capital or the system or utility or the zeitgeist, right?
Or where, you have like a blue collar job and you're just, to the other person, they may think you're doing something very easily reduced, very easily explained, right? But you could be doing that job while you're also, I don't know, making train models or something. Yep. I don't know. Just make up something. Train and it's yeah. I think our brains will tend to do the whole, let me find an explanation for this. Let me reduce it to this sort of thing. So it's important also to yourself to have grace, because you may think, well, I'm just like, what am I doing that's really like unexplainable, yep. Right? Because everybody just thinks that this is what I do or this is what I am.
Like, to your example of when you say, I'm going to have a dairy cow, and you're kind of tortured by the fact you have it. There's a way in which you've cast a spell on you. And I know we've talked about like language and spell. Like there is ways you cast a spell on people. If I say to someone, you're stupid, I can like cause them mental health problems, right? Like, we're constantly in a way casting spells on one another. Like, magic seems like the idea that we can cast spells seems silly, kind of because it's the water we're always swimming in. It's constantly what we're doing, right? And so one of the reasons why you want to have really, really careful when you speak or really think about it is because it's live. You're dealing with powerful things. You're dealing with words.
This is what I do, or this is what I am, or but really there's something that I think is deeper at the core that may be inexplicable, even in its what everyone else thinks is very explainable, right? I think that it's important to realize and incorporate that inexplicability to your own self, and not just have the reduced judgments and explanations of other people on you, because then it can be quite stifling, I believe.
Well, I mean, the truth is, to your point, we can all day long say that we don't like reductionism. We don't like to not be known fully. But the truth of the matter is, we actually can kind of subconsciously love reductionism, because then there's less chance of encountering the real in the Lacanian sense, right? If I can get away with telling people I'm an engineer and they not ask any more questions, then there's less likelihood of a disturbance, right? What ends up happening is reductionism, like Vervaeke and many people will talk about all the time, is that becomes a problem when we do that strategy for so long as a self-defense mechanism from the real, or to avoid difficulty. And then one day we wake up and kind of realize, oh my gosh, I don't even know how to get back to the place of unfolding into fullness. Yeah. Because you are your habits. Like, we become our habits. And if we get in a habit of avoiding the real, then one day when we're like, I'd like to actually get to a deeper way of life, which necessarily requires risking encounters with the real, then that Merry Christmas to me. Thank you, Dimitri. He said Merry Christmas before Christmas Day. Thank you. I knew it was in regard to the season. I knew it. Thank you, Dimitri. Thank you. Like, we love reductionism because then I'm safer. I don't have to unpack, and I'm scared. I don't even know how to talk about my full self, right? Yeah. But then what ends up happening is one day you wake up and you're like, I'd like to get to a deeper way of life. And we talk about this all the time. There's no possibility of that depth unless there is a risk of the surprise of the encounter, right? But now we're out of the habits to even know where to get started. We try and it goes badly. Of course it does, because we haven't been practicing for 20 years. And so we give up, and then you fall into despair.